Hello and welcome back to my vlogs. My name is Orion and I make videos every single Wednesday and Sunday and I post them at 6 p.m. And today we finally get moving things into the garage. Because if you haven't been following along, I have a baby due in the next couple of months, due in November. The time is flying on by and we just don't have the room at our 2-bedroom apartment to store all of our hobbies and things and accommodate another child. So I have been converting my nan's garage into a safe and secure storage room for all of our household goods. The last time we were here, we got the floor all fitted, put skirting boards in, as well as the door. However, we have a few jobs left to do before we can actually completely start using this room. One of which is to fit the trapdoor up there. And the other is to basically finish off the door. I need to get a strike plate put in here. I need to do the door stop, which I've got out and bought today, as well as finish off the skirting board. Once those little jobs are done, this room is essentially ready to start putting stuff in. It should be void of damp or any moisture in here, so we can leave things here knowing that they're not going to get damaged. I think the first thing on today's agenda is to get this strike plate fitted in there and get this door stop removed. Fortunately, I'd already spaded it out last time just so I could get the door in use. So all we need to do today is tidy it up with a chisel so we can actually stick the strike plate in. Now that we have got it chiseled out, we just need to screw this plate right into there. Nice and easy. With that all fitted in, hopefully the door should just close. Perfect. And using exactly the same tools, I just need to pry this off so I'm ready to put the new ones in. I was hoping not to cause too much damage, but when you pry these off, you want to take your time with it. Otherwise, you'll end up snapping them like I did. In this case, it's not the end of the world as it's just becoming scrap wood. But if you're replacing them at home and you want to move your doorstep because you're getting a new door or something like that, just work your way from top to bottom or from bottom to top and just take your time. Now it's just a case of measuring up the door frame and firing up the miter saw. Okay, now that I know that they all fit, before I nail this in, I'm actually going to do some miter angled cuts so they all slot in nicely together. Very similar to what I did with the skirting board. And to get the right angle, I've just drawn some lines on it whilst I had it in situ there, so I know exactly what angles I need to cut. You could just cut 45-degree angles, but to make sure it all fits nice and snug, I've done it this way. Now, before we actually nail this in, to get it in the right place, I'm actually going to shut the door. Now I'm going to use some packers just to create a little bit of space between the door and the stop. And that just allows a little bit of breathing room for like expansion and stuff like that. But there we go, a door stop all nice and fitted. And for those wondering why we do that, it's basically so when I push the door closed, obviously I've got the latch under now, but if I pushed it through, it's not going to come off the hinges. Last but not least, I just need to finish off the skirting board. That's 1 and 2. Most definitely not the prettiest job I've ever done, but that is the door completed. Now it's time for the other door. And at this point, I would like to apologise about the flickering that happens with the lights. It's been happening ever since I got this new camera, which is a bit annoying. Fortunately, today is like the last day that we'll be working in here, so hopefully we won't have to deal with that in the future. One of the downsides of upgrading the phone. Now, I have already cut a door to size to fit in this hole, and I left it up here, ready to be used. Oopsie. Next time, it's right there. And despite the fact that it says temporary door subscribe, which you should most definitely do, I'm actually going to be doing an architrave around this. I had some leftover MDF panels from when I did the renovation at the flat, and I figured I'd just use those, repurpose them to make an architrave. This is actually really easy. I just got my miter saw set to 45-degree angles. Then all I'm doing is making a series of cuts using a speed square to make sure it's all square and some painting tape to hold it together, and we should end up with a nice little picture frame. Now, before I can actually glue it to the door, I need to spade out the locking mechanism that's going to go through the architrave. And to drill a hole large enough, I actually needed to use my largest spade bit. So let's get this all drilled through. Now, what I'm about to do is most definitely not the correct thing to do. However, it is the easiest solution I have to my current situation where I have no clamps. So I'm using a lot of tape and I'm going to glue it together. Dodgy Dave. There's probably a much more logical way to do this, but subscribe for how not to DIY. And after leaving it to dry for a few days, I realized that there was most definitely a more logical way to do this, and I have messed up ever so slightly. Now, it is completely solid. It is stuck together with like construction adhesive. However, what I didn't quite consider is that when the door opened and it is in use, these little bits sticking out here, it's gonna cause a problem. Because where the hinges are here, they sit flush up there. Meaning the way that I have done this, it won't open. Whoops. Yeah, do you see my issue here? This all stems from the fact that I am rushing things, because to let you in on a little bit of a secret, it is the day before that this video goes live, and in a few hours I've got to go to a wedding for my brother, so I'm rushing things ever so slightly, and because of that I'm making a variety of mistakes. So to remedy this situation, this is the final piece to the puzzle, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut straight across there so the whole door is covered, and then the remainder of it will stick to the ceiling. At least I think that's how it's going to work in my head. One way to find out. Well, that went surprisingly well. It fits in there perfectly. I just need to cut out a couple of notches for the hinges. Now it's all glued in and I've trimmed the top off. Let's see if it actually works. All right, time for the moment of truth. I am unsure if I'll be able to do this one-handed, but... oh no. Oh, it works. We have finally got a trapdoor all fitted. I think all that's left to do is add a lick of paint to the doors and stuff like that and tidy this room up. And I believe we'll be ready to move things in. So let's get this done. Well, that is much better. I have been in here and I have scrubbed the floor with a sponge, which I am now going to get very dirty because my feet are muddy. But the room is cleared out, ready to put stuff in. I've put one coat of paint on the doors. But I need to wait for it to dry before I can add more. Already regretting walking on this floor. But to be fair, when you look outside, I can't do a great deal about it. Anyways, time to start moving this into there. And I really wish I could say that that is basically it with the stuff that I have to move in here. But this small pile of this stuff barely scratches the surface. That's all I could fit in the car. I think we head over back home and see how Jess has got on with packing her craft room. One small Jess time lapse later, I have arrived back home to help with this. I have brought back all of the plastic boxes that we used for the Airbnb move, and that is going to help shift a lot of the stuff in the room. Then it's just a case of going up and down the stairs, loading up the car and getting it all over to my nan's. It looks worse than it is. A lot of this stuff is pretty much ready to go. But for those people who are wondering, the plan is to move that desk into this section here. This shelf will all go, so the desk will actually be here. Yes, it will cut off the window, but it's not that big of a deal. The Calyx unit, all of this is going to be repurposed to store baby things, whether that's like wipes, nappies, clothes, everything you could possibly need is going to go in here. Then in that corner right there where the desk is right now, we will have a recliner to be your comfort and nice in here. So a fair amount of rejigging and clearing out to do, but when it's all said and done, it should be a practical space for when the baby arrives. Anyways, enough yapping, let's get this moved. One thing's for sure, I'm not looking forward to doing this with all of my furniture. But a lot of boxes and up and down the stairs later, we can start to empty it all and load up our new storage room. It is nice after all this time to finally make use of this room. It feels like absolutely forever ago that I decided to turn this into a storage room for all of our things. This isn't even all of it. I definitely think I'm going to need the whole room for all of that stuff. Because whilst for now we have been moving Jess's crafting things and all of her hobby related goods out of like what's going to be the nursery, I'm going to slowly start taking the flat apart and bringing things from there to here, as we don't have access to the new house just yet. But it's crazy to think how far we've come, honestly. It's so nice to finally use it. However, for now, we can finally turn the lights off on this project. Because with the move coming up and the baby on the way, there is so much still left to do. There is one last trip I want to make to here because I want to finish this wall off, tidy things up, and essentially leave it in a good state, because I mean, I've got scrap wood everywhere. There's bin bags full of rubbish that need tidying up, as well as a lot of my gear that is still under here that needs to go in to the storage room. So with that in mind, I am going to wrap up today's vlog. I'm going to apologize now for the chaos that is about to ensue with the vlogs, because things are going to start getting a bit all over the place. I kind of liked it. I've been like, you know, doing a project, and that's basically been the theme of the videos. However, after receiving a fair amount of feedback, I know that people like me to mix it up and don't want to see the same thing every week, day in, day out. So the next few months are very much going to be like that, because I'm struggling with time. As I film this, this has obviously been 3 different days all spliced into one. The video goes live today as I'm filming this right now. So that's how tight on time I am. And I'm about 4 minutes before I need to leave and crack on with the next thing, because I've got family down and stuff for my brother's wedding, which, by the way, was beautiful. It went really well. It was nice to have a little bit of a switch off for the evening. But if you've enjoyed this vlog, please do leave it a thumbs up rating. I'd appreciate it. It genuinely helps the channel reach new audiences, and with the growth that has been happening recently, you guys are blowing my mind. It is honestly, as I said on the last vlog, so overwhelming, just the sheer amount of people that are tuning in to watch the vlogs. I really do appreciate it. There is some really cool and exciting things coming up with building a campsite, renovating a new home, or renovating an old home into a new home, restoring an old property, and all sorts of stuff. Genuinely, there is so much stuff. I've got to learn how to use a digger. I've got to learn how to drive a tractor. Make sure you subscribe, because the next year is going to be wild. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace, much love. Bye-bye.